So as soon as we get back from the law courts and I reboot my computer, which was in my briefcase, it is already refreshing, disk checking, scanning the whole of my computer, and I've just announced to the new sheriff, is your activity in the two law firms that you worked with that make you an interlocking director with Peter Watson, and that's Professor Peter Watson of Levy and Macrae, that gets all the corrupted fatal accidents like Lockerbie and the Chinook scandals where 29 innocents die because they're in a position to end the Irish troubles. And the Lockerbie plane was all about the most innocent man in the UN, Brent Carlson, and Jackie O's third partner who was Templesman, the De Beers magnate. And I've revealed to Gordon Bowden and John Paterson the issues about the registration and the mail forwarding centres that registered companies, and the links to the companies that my wife was investing in. And when I called them up, they denied that they actually exist, although everything is on company check. And when I read that out to Gordon and showed him the evidence that I'd called in that day and they had denied, he confirmed that the De Beers were registered through the same, I think it's St John's in London, and all of it, they're embroiled in their cheap shot frauds. And the new Sheriff Paterson has said that what I'm doing are conspiracy theories, and I had the poster with the gangbang rapist around his neck. That's his own community raising the conspiracy theories, because they are pretending that gangbang rape by the sheriffdom is not really all that important, and because it occurred so long ago now that it is not relevant to anybody's divorce proceedings. The man got away scot-free. The sheriffdom gangbang raped his wife, or it's just a shallow cover. And my wife's solicitor was sat next to me when I produced the picture, and she confirmed that that one she had received, but all of the confirmations I got in those earlier videos were denied. And you need to pay if you want the stuff that you send them electronically to be printed by them. I'm paying for everything in this case, and I have done nothing wrong in my life, and they've now acknowledged that no matter how rigorously I defend myself, I cannot prove my innocence. And that is the law, which is why the Devil's Advocate film was made, and which is why I intend to make a precedent in this case. At least the oaths in the court that were sworn to this morning were not to Jesus Christ, they were to the Lord in the skies. And I know that if you have a big conscience issue with the Lord in the skies in the adjudicating role, then you are going to take a heavy fall. The skies have been brilliant all day, and thank you to the folk that gave me lifts. The councillor's brother is now in the courts because he's appearing, that's Tom Weatherston, in the videos I make about the corruption in the council and the gagging orders I've been given by the sheriffdom. So his wee brother, that is part of the surveillance team for months before and after we leave for New Zealand, was at the court this morning as a victim. I did not talk to him much because they're quite shallow people and they're a total disgrace to the working class community that they pretend to represent. Oh no, I forgot, Big Brother is a Tory now, because it's the only way that you can get into power and steal from the people. Right then, so I'll just have to wait and see whether all of the evidence that I found on Sheriff Peter Paterson at 2 AM in the morning is still on my computer. Please wait while your computer restarts. One finds that it never does. but their only grounds have been confirmed as desertion. Yeah, and the date for that is within 1 month of us paying off the mortgage, which I entirely owned every step of the way since the first house that I lived in. I've been the owner, and I invited my wife as a pauper to join my joint account, and they have bailed out of that after creating subsidiary accounts within it. The whole thing is treasonous and totally disloyal, and I worry a lot about what will happen to her if the real gods are on the case. Okay? Miss Tom is ever so civilised and looked ever so stressed out when the sheriff announced that wouldn't it be a good idea if we stalled again and we keep his attention on the trivia rather than him allowing him to expose the crimes in the Treasury Office and in Lothian Road, which is why Andrew Lothian was launched. Okay? I'm going to get back to the sites that I found last night in the early hours, because it's quite sinister. It takes you off to the Better Off Together man that died in the lead up to the referendum, interlocked with Peter Paterson at the two law firms that he was ever so proud of and would not see any conflicts of interest. Yeah, I'll tell you about that in the videos with the images and the directorial lists to Macrae, head of the Better Off Together, and the pictures of his funeral with Malcolm Rifkind, the war criminal, and the interlocking director with Chilcot. I explained to Miss Tom this morning what the University of Warwick rules were as a breach of justice. Okay, and all of it, they don't see it coming, and all of the people that have refused to sign are in a very perilous place. Yeah, and thank you to all of those, particularly the youngsters. Yeah, we talked this morning about how the conscription option or volunteering to join the forces in unjustified conflicts on other people's countries is the only option you have at the DSS this morning. And when I began to explain that because my wife was in work and keeping me, yeah, as a loyal wife does, yeah, I was unable to draw down any form of social security payments beyond the first 6 months. So her desertion of me resulted in my impoverishment, and all of that. If she had declared at that time that she was really deserting me, then I could have had the dole payments, but I did not take them when Michael Moore was in breach of the Constitution, because I'm on the higher ground, and they never allowed me to present the tax rebate checks that I've got in my portfolio. They've stalled me for another 2 months, and the evidence against them and the force majeure that it represents is going to be massive by that stage. Yeah, that's early June. And when I said, I see the tactic, you're deferring it again so that the separation period can become more and more substantive, he kind of meekly grinned. But we were told to leave at that point. Right then, let's see what I can pin on him. But he's relatively decent. He understands that if my wife continued to do the dusting and the cooking, this is how pathetic it is. I've earned 6-figure salaries for decades, yeah, and that is not index linked, it's real, yeah, and she has not had any earning power for only 8 of the 22 years that we've been married. She's been contributing at 1/4 or 1/6 of my earning power, and I'm going to bust him. And he says it's impossible to appeal unless you get the evidence together in the proof hearing. Okay, I don't want to take his issues with the relatively trivial frauds in the legal sector that he's involved in, but I will make a video on it, just so the whole world knows that it is really, really sad that this is how morally our country is run now. And I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to get on with finding out more about those bigger issues and the religious issues and the vast jokes about culling the people, I might start in Khartoum, because that is particularly vicious. It's part of the religious fraud in the quest to find the ownership of the confluence of the White and the Blue Niles, yeah, and thousands of British dead, thousands and thousands of miles from home. And that's the Butcher Jones joke.